Well, wedding season for some of you isn't fun at all. It's a real drag because you might be wondering, why haven't you met your match? I want to get married sometime soon. Tackling the topic of relationships from a guy's perspective is our own Brian Teddemore. Last week, Brian shared his points of view about marriage with author Judith Wright. Brian's now ready to introduce you to another author, Wendy Newman, this time focusing on why you might need 121 first dates before saying, I do.
So, Wendy, before we get going, talking about your book and stuff, maybe we should start and step back a little bit and ask, what should dating be?
I think that men and women both should look at dating as just one opportunity to meet another person. A lot of us put so much pressure on, is he going to be the one, or is she going to be the one, or am I going to be able to stop dating pretty soon? Is this my last date with a new person? And I think that if one person goes out on a date, and what he or she does is they show up as themselves, right? They're interested in meeting a new person, finding out something unique about it. Whether there's any chemistry or not, it doesn't matter. You have succeeded at your date. That's the only thing that you need to do to be on a date.
Now, I read the title of your book and kind of the way that you describe it, and you say that your book is sort of like, it's like a best friend that you'd want to have along on your dating quest. And at least as a guy, I thought, well, why not just bring your best friend along on the date?
Well, you could, but then if you're bringing your best friend, the two of you might be in competition for her. Wingmans could be dangerous.
Yes. You know, sometimes guys feel like that. If the girl's looking down and texting, they think, is she talking to her girlfriend about me? Is this an inquisition of me, but from two girls?
Even worse, is she on Tinder right now? Is she flipping because I'm so boring that she has stepped off this date to get on another one? No, people are texting on dates. That's terrible. That's a no-no.
So let's talk about social media then. And in a sense, the scenario that you just set up. Because social media is beautiful in fact that it allows us to instantly meet someone that we would never otherwise meet.
Absolutely.
But it can also be like a devilish fiend that interrupts. So here's a scenario. You're on a date and you get a text from someone that you really wanted to go out with. What do?
You ignore it. People everywhere need to know. If you're on a date with somebody, you owe them the respect of your 100% full attention. You're not looking at the cute person across the bar. You're not looking at your phone. Even though maybe they're not your person, you're with them in that moment. So give them that respect. Once you're off the date and you go home and you're done with the date, yeah, go ahead. Fire up online again and you're already date ready. So maybe you could meet somebody and go right back out again. But in the moment that you're with somebody, turn your phone off, be with that person. It's the only thing to do.
Well, let's talk about first impressions then. You meet someone, do first impressions matter?
Absolutely. You know that, I know that. We never get a second chance. So showing up as the best self you can be in that moment is all you can do. And you may not be perfect or perfectly ready, but show up as yourself in that moment.
Now, you talk about the fact that you have had 121 first dates. So the question I had, well, how many second dates did you have?
A lot. I think like 85 of
wow.
them had second, third, fourth, and let's try this out experiences. So quite a few.
So what do you do with your expectations then? I mean, don't you have to kind of establish some kind of rules or expectations for yourself and for the other person to help you decide, I'm done?
Well, every person and every situation is going to be different. And I actually think of myself as the anti-rule person. Now, I have a couple of rules that are my personal rules that are mine that I've created over time just based on best practices of what works. But in terms of following someone else's rules or guidelines, that doesn't really work out so well because it takes you away from who you really are. And when it comes to trying to figure out when to call it, I don't recommend having a strategy or by the third date, if this isn't happening, then I need to move on. I think it is going to depend on the person and where they are, what they're up to in their lives, and what's happening between the two of you. Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about hygiene for us guys. Have you ever met a guy who you can look across a room and you can see what he smells like?
Yes.
Is that bad?
It's telling. It's very telling. So, yeah, it happens, and you might like that smell, who knows? So it's a weeding mechanism. Weed them in, weed them out. Yeah.
So you've had 121 first dates and a lot of second dates. Looking back over all of that, was it worth it?
Absolutely. I do 242 to get to my partner, Dave. Absolutely.
So you met your soulmate
121.
in the whole process.
Yeah.
Well, I would be remiss, it'd be a total failure if I didn't ask this question. Did I earn a second date?
Absolutely. I'm ready when you are.